Welcome directors candidates to tonight's Directors Open Forum. Tonight we'll be having our questions asked to you from me. Yeah. Um, your election commissioner. My name is Dylan Pinkerton. I'm excited to have this opportunity to see all of you, and I hope that all of you are excited to have the opportunity to talk directly to the students of Kent State. Going into tonight, we have candidates Derek Tindem-Webwa, candidate Elizabeth Palmarico, there we go, got it, candidate Dennis Farahani, and candidate Erlene Johnson. We will now be entering introductory statements. Candidate Tindem-Webwa, your 2 minutes begin now.
You excuse me, I'm a bit nervous, but good evening. My name is Tindimova Derek Mugisha. I'm running for the role of Director, Community Affairs, and I'm a current sophomore in the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, and serving right now on the undergraduate student government as the Senator for International Students, and I'm proud to be affiliated with the student government. Majorly tonight, I'm going to be talking about my platform, which mainly enlists community engagement and empowerment, resource and access support, stability and green initiatives, collaborations with students and faculty, advocacy for mental health and wellness, as well as transparency and accountability. With that said, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Tindem-Webwa. Candidate Palmarico, your 2 minutes begin now.
Hey y'all, I'm Elizabeth Palmarico. I'm a second-year applied mathematics major with a minor in French. I'm currently the co-vice chair for the allocations committee, and I'm running for director of finance and administration. And I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Palmarico. Candidate Farahani, your 2 minutes begin now.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis Farahani, and I'm currently running for Director of Programming. I'm currently a double major in journalism and anthropology with a focus in archaeology, and my minors are photojournalism and Italian studies. I also currently serve as a senator for the College of Communication and Information, and I also serve as the president of the Spanish and Latino Student Association. Tonight, you will hear how I plan on bringing Kent State more amazing events that our reputation already upholds. I'm so excited for you all to hear what I can share so far for what I have in store, and I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Farahani. Candidate Johnson, your 2 minutes begin now.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erlene Johnson. I'm a first-year transfer student from the University of Akron. Currently, I major in public health. I also work in the field as a community health worker. Tonight, I will be sharing my platform. I'm running for Director of Student Involvement. Outside of campus, I'm involved in hiking, serving in my local church, and also serving in my community. So I would like to incorporate things that are already a part of my life in this role. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Johnson. Thank you, candidates. We will now be entering the question portion of the evening. To go with the questions of the evening, much like your introductory statements, you'll be given 2 minutes to answer. We will be starting with candidate Tindem-Webwa, and this is one of our general questions. What previous experience do you have that you feel best prepares you for this role? Candidate Tindem-Webwa, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you so much. Where to start? It's a lot, but not to boast or to toot my own horn. I'm currently serving as the Senator for International Students on the student government currently, and I feel like the work we have done with the international community has really helped, and it has been sort of like a foundation for me in my leadership journey. I've had a lot of mentors from the previous governments, just so to speak some names. The former president, Julie Bonito, was a really good anchor, and she really helped me in my political journey. So with all these different experiences shared and different time had in leadership, I've gotten to explore the nooks and crannies around, government and leadership within Kent State University. And I feel like this prepares me for the onset of taking on a big role, like a director of community affairs. So with that said, I believe that past experience that I had really does help me. Thank you very much. I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Tindamwibwa. Candidate Palmarico, your 2 minutes begin now.
So I pride myself on being very involved on campus. Currently, I am a part of the event staff for the Flash Activities Board. I was previously a peer success mentor, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And as I previously stated, I'm on the allocations committee. I've been on the allocations committee for about a year and a half now. And all of these experiences have really helped me learn how to be a leader and how to interact with the students on campus and just how to be more confident in myself. And so I think all of those experiences will help me be the best director of finance and administration that I can be. And I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Palmarico. Candidate Farahani, your 2 minutes begin now.
As I currently stated before, I am the current senator of the College of Communication and Information, so I already have a first-year experience working in undergraduate student government. So with that, I have been able to provide many resources for my college, which I am so proud about. Not only that, like I mentioned, I am the president of SALSA, the Spanish and Latino Student Association, where we plan many events catered towards our community, but not just our community. Everyone is welcome. So I have been able to gain much insight into how to be inclusive with all groups within our organization's values and what message we want to share. Not only that, but, excuse me for one moment. Sorry, I also am a musician myself, so I have much experience within the music industry already, and it just provides a good insight into what I know needs to be brought to these events that we cater towards. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Farahani. Candidate Johnson, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. If my parents were here, they would say that I've been a leader since birth. I definitely give them credit for allowing me to do everything that my heart desired at a young age. So with that experience, it taught me how to be a leader from the very beginning. Leading up into high school years, doing service with Boys and Girls Club. At my current job, I also coordinate events, and I've also coordinated events with the City of Akron for youth. That has taught me how to work with many different populations within the community. That experience allows me to coordinate events not only here on campus, but those connections with faculty, with students in doing so. With that, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Johnson. Thank you, candidates, for answering the first question. We will now be moving on to the second question. This question we will be starting with candidate Palmarico. What personal values do you possess that you feel will help you succeed in your position? Candidate Palmarico, your 2 minutes begin now.
So within my position, part of the description is that I run the allocations committee, which allows students to receive funding for individual and group conferences, as well as putting on events. And I really believe that no one should be impeded by their inability to fund those events, like their inability to go to conferences and their inability to fund putting on events. No one should be impeded by that, and everyone should have access to the same opportunities. And so I would really like to push for being able to fund more people, and I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Palmarico. Candidate Farahani, your 2 minutes begin now.
With this role, leadership is needed. This industry has many twists and turns, and knowing when to put your foot down and be like, these are the decisions that need to be made, you need to have a strong vocal opinion towards that, which I believe I do possess. Not only that, but our events are catered towards the university, to the students, excuse me. These are the students' events. It's not just USG's events. So you have to have an open mind into what your students want. It's not just your choice, but it's their choice. They chose you to be in this position. So having an open mind into what do they want to hear, who do they want to have, is very important. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Farahani. Candidate Johnson, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. My favorite skills that I would say that I possess, number one would be critical thinking. Number two would be leadership, of course, and then I would add even just being outgoing. I feel like these traits fall into this role so that I'm able to coordinate with faculty, as stated previously, because a lot of times it's not what you know, but it is who you know, and one of my goals is to enhance the student engagement. With being a freshman, I want to make sure that I'm building those connections with the people that have the say-so on campus, and that can also be a guidance to not just myself, but the students that I would be influencing as well. I get my time.
Thank you, candidate Johnson. Candidate Tindamwebwa, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you very much. Personal values is something that someone should hold dear to their heart, that they emulate out to people for them to see. To me, with the different statements that I made according to advocacy, transparency, some of these already stand alone as themselves as personal aspects and values, starting with integrity. As someone who is supposed to represent your community, there are various communities within Kent State. Kent State is a small hub that has different tiny communities making up one big community as a whole. Where I come from, there's a saying that it takes a community to raise a child. So community is something very important. So having integrity in your community really helps you to, build these values and trust. Second, like I said, trust. A community cannot withstand all the forces that come against it if we do not trust each other. So having that ability to trust each other or emulate that trust that is given within you really helps you to, boost and grow the community. I would also like to thank other people who talked about critical thinking. It's difficult to think while on the move, and sometimes issues just like happen out of the blue. So being able to think under pressure, handle these different things that come out of the blue and just like hit you in the face is really good in a way to, help grow your community. So those are some of the personal values to me that would help. With that said, I yield my time, sorry.
Thank you, candidate Tindamwebwa, and thank you, candidates. Moving into our third general question of the evening, we will be beginning with candidate Farahani. What is the most important and feasible change you wish to make in your position for Kent State within the next year? Your 2 minutes begin now.
I first want to start with the current director of programming, Ariane Robinson, has done a phenomenal job of creating a way to receive student feedback. Currently, she has a polling system that is used to gain this feedback, and which we use through USG's social medias. I want to take it a step further. I'm sure many of you know that downstairs in the Student Center, there are plenty of screens that I'm sure do so much more than are shown to us so far. I would love if somehow we are able to have students optimize those screens into using that polling system. Is it possible? We'll have to find out. But right now, I feel like not many people do look at USG's social media pages, so having more of that insight will just be phenomenal. How will students know about that? Of course, if you're walking underneath the bridge that connects the Kiva to the Student Center, there's that big screen there, and I would love to have something up there that's like, make sure you stop in the Student Center and vote. With that, I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Farahani. Candidate Johnson, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. As other candidates have said, my biggest goal for this role is to really enhance student engagement. There are a lot of organizations that host events, and including USG partnering with these student organizations, I think it's hard sometimes for students to make it out to everything. So working within the leadership of those organizations along with the faculty that have the ability to make sure that we're timing things spaced out so that students involved in multiple organizations can participate and not feel overwhelmed is really something that I would like to tackle. I know for myself, there are so many things that I want to be involved with, so even creating a way to build a system that allows students to create a list of what's most important to them and having that support for them so that they don't feel left out or overwhelmed when choosing what groups they would like to be involved in. I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Johnson. Candidate Tindamwebwa, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you very much. As said before, the previous governments have really done good work in the sense that the machine is working properly and students are, enjoying the services they're receiving from their student leaders. But like other candidates have said, it's all about enhancing. So I'm going to use only 2 points because I have a limited amount of time. Inclusive dialogue. It takes dialogue to really understand what the student body needs, and ensuring that every voice, regardless of background, is heard and considered in collective decision making is very vital in order to achieve the desired goal. My second point would be transparency and accountability. I'm just going to read through here. I believe in leading with transparency and being accountable to the community I serve. As Director for Community Affairs, I will ensure that all actions and decisions are made in a way that is open and communicative. So that basically relates to inclusive dialogue. If I'm talking and I'm transparent with you, it helps us in decision making that really regards the community, especially when we're not looking at only Kent State, but the people around us. So those are some things that would really go a long way. With that said, I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Tindamwebwa. Candidate Palmarico, your 2 minutes begin now.
So one thing that I really wanted to try and implement was making allocations more known, because it is very well known, but at the same time, a lot of students don't know about it. A lot of orgs don't know about it. So I think it would be really nice if we could, there are already events that happen. Director Bunting already has time set aside when she tries to have orgs come in and listen to her speak and discuss allocations, but they don't always show up. So I would like to find a way to make that more worth their time, I guess, so that they can learn more about the whole process and learn about the roles and everything, so that when they get to the hearings, there's a little less confusion. And I yield my time.
Thank you, candidates. We will now move on to the final general question of the evening before we get into specific questions. We will be beginning with Candidate Johnson. The question is, within the jurisdiction of your position, what do you feel the biggest issue is that is facing students of Kent's campus, and how do you intend to address it? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. My biggest observation for students that I would like to inherit change in is fostering inclusivity. I believe that DEI is meant to bring us together, and sometimes that can get lost in the visions with the different organizations. I want to make sure that students know that although the differences are there, all students are welcome to these different events so that we can begin to educate and understand one another. I think that that will foster a family-like mindset, which being an undergraduate, sometimes you can feel alone here on campus. I definitely think getting involved in having those conversations. I was talking to students yesterday at an event that we had for making posters for Senate Bill 1, and we protested today on that. But just getting outside of what's normal for you, seeing that and doing that as the leader, being the example, allowing students to know that in this position, I will be the one doing that first so that they can feel confident in doing so, I believe is how I'll be able to foster that change. With that, I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Johnson. Candidate Tindamwebwa, your 2 minutes begin now.
Personally, for me, I feel like the biggest problem within my jurisdiction would be not knowing or effective communication, not being able to have effective communication. Because walking around campus and asking what the community benefits to Kent State, or how does Kent State benefit from the community, many students do not know this. So reaching out and telling people that, hey, this is how you benefit from your community is really a big part in, my entire goal. That's why I was talking about inclusive dialogue. It's really important for someone to understand why you do what you do. So if I go out and say I'm going to do something without actively telling you why I'm doing it, it's more like I'm doing it for myself. So it's rather better that, I host events where I reach out to the community. I host events where I call both parties, the students and the community at large, and explain to them that this is why this is happening and this is how we're going to sort it out. Give an example of PARDA. Most students face problems with the bus system, and the student government went out of its way to, communicate and foster dialogue to help and reached out to students. So this really helped to improve the services that the bus is offering on campus. So with students understanding the different resources that are available to them throughout the community, it really helps to make the Kent State experience much better. With that said, I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Tindamwebwa. Candidate Palmarico, your 2 minutes begin now.
As I mentioned in one of my previous answers, I think it's very important that everyone has the same access to be able to attend conferences and stuff. And most students don't have the ability to fund that or even fully fund it themselves. They can maybe fund a little bit of it, but not all of it. And so I think that is a huge issue that faces our students, because that impedes their ability for professional development, because a lot of the conferences that they go to give them really valuable information for the career that they want. And if they can't go to those conferences, they're not getting that valuable information. So I think that is definitely the biggest issue, and I would like to be able to fund more of those events. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Palmarico. Candidate Farahani, your 2 minutes begin now.
Something I want to start on that a few other candidates mentioned is DEI. With the current political structure, DEI is unfortunately being attacked. But I do want to state that art comes in many different shapes and forms, and art is a form of culture. I want to make sure that whoever is brought to our university is able to share their gifts and talents from whatever cultural background they may have. It's important that we see what everyone can offer, and especially with Kent State being a PWI, it's important for us to learn more, and I hope that I'm able to share the gift of other cultures with talents, the artists I decide to bring. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Farahani, and thank you, candidates. We will now be moving into the specific portions of tonight. Prior to tonight, each of you were given specific questions that were related specifically, I'm using specific a lot, but were related directly to your role. Going down, we will not have a method of moving from candidate to candidate, as there are only 2 specific questions for each. We will just strictly go down the line. Starting with Director of Community Affairs, Candidate Tindamwebwa. Your question is, what events that Kent as a community and Kent State have put on in the past that you, that is worded a little weird, give me a second. What events that Kent as a community and Kent State have put on in the past would you like to continue working with or see again? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you very much. I've been waiting for this question for the entire evening. I did my research on it. So Kent State and the community really share a bond, since Kent is a college town. So some of the events that they put on have really famous names that students post on social media. One of them is Flashes Fighting Hunger. That has been an initiative that was set up years back, and it has really helped the community because, not everybody is as privileged in the community, and Flashes are a community that takes care of each other. Flashes help each other, and it's that sense of love and community that has really helped such initiatives like, Flashes Fighting Hunger to succeed. And that is one event and initiative that I would love to expand, to see how far can we go, because I know we're capable of much more as a community. We are strong people. Another event that has really, gotten out to me is the Town and Gown. Not many people may know about this, but this is an event that brings forth different members of the community in Kent and as well as the city to come together and appreciate each other's work and discuss ways forward. By members of the community, I'm talking about town, city hall, I'm talking about the president, Daikin, I'm talking about the police departments, majorly people who have a stake in the community. So this event really comes about to, sit down, discuss what we have, different initiatives and events going on, and it's really important to me and the community. So with that said, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Tindamweba. Moving to the Director of Finance and Administration, candidate Palmarico, your question is, what is your experience with finance and budgeting that led you to run for this position? Your 2 minutes begin now.
As I have previously mentioned, I am currently the co-vice chair for the allocations committee, and I've been on the allocations committee for about a year and a half. And as a whole, that entire meeting that we have is always when we're giving out the money to students, and it gives me a chance to look at the budget and decide this is how much we're able to give out based off of how much we have left. And also, I mentioned that I am a part of FAB's event staff. With that, we work with the budget all the time to know how to plan an event using the money that we have. And I think that also helps me to know when we're funding money for programming requests, that this is how you can plan an event with the money that we can provide you. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Palmarico. Moving to Director of Programming, candidate Farhani, your question is, what events have you seen done in the past by directors of programming that you would like to use again or emulate? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Throughout the night, I know that I have been mentioning a lot about music and artists. Of course, Director of Programming invites all different sorts of talents, from comedians to speakers to, as I've been mentioning, musicians. With my platform, I would love to go back to having 2 concerts, one for each semester. Of course, with budgeting, I do have to keep that in mind, but I think being a musician myself, music's just very close to my heart. Of course, as I mentioned, this is the students' events. This is your campus. So I'm all ears to who you want to see and bring here. With that, I think it's also to highlight the importance of smaller artists. Being one myself, the industry, as I've mentioned before, is very hard. So something it's not that I've seen before, but something new I would love to do is bring smaller artists that probably a majority have never heard of as the opener for the concerts. Of course, the headliner would still be a big artist, because everyone wants one, but I would love to help new and upcoming artists with their platform, and I think it's very important for us to support the community. With that, I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Farhani. Moving to Director of Student Involvement, candidate Johnson, your question is, how do you plan on utilizing roles and departments on campus that work with student leadership and student involvement in order to increase involvement? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. As one of my other candidates stated, Flashes are a community of people that help each other. I believe that students engage in different involvement activities, not only for the social exposure, but for professional as well. So making sure to build those connections with these faculty, with the ones who are in charge, so that students can choose wisely for as what they want to be involved in. And also, as another candidate mentioned, for mental health, which speaks to me, I want to make sure that students are equipped to balance the academic and social. So being involved with things that will help them succeed here on campus and once they're graduating and on and working into the workforce as well. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Johnson, and thank you, candidates, for the first round of specific questions. We are now going to get into your final specific question of the night and the final question of the forum before we get into closing statements. Wrapping it back around and going back to Director of Community Affairs, candidate Tindamweba, your question is there any event that you would like to see put on or you would like to work toward? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you very much. With that question, I really look into what a great community that we've had with the events that we've been able to put on and the great things that we've been able to do so far. And like I said before in one of the questions asked, it's about making things better and enhancing them. An event that I've really been talking about and it is in my platform is philanthropy, reaching out, helping people. There was an initiative that was started, I think, 2 years back, and it was a Kent street card. Kent town really has a problem of homeless people, and people really don't get time to know that, oh, this is a group of people that are part of our community. Some students really face the challenge of housing. So an initiative that I would like to take forward and really empower is resource management, giving out resources to people to let them know that, oh, there's different ways to get housing within the community, within the town. There's different resources for those homeless people around our community because it really helps and goes a long way. And I feel like as members of Kent community, we're much humanitarians thinking about each other and less about ourselves. So initiatives geared towards, housing and revolving around to, the Kent street card really speak to me in volumes, and I would love to see that initiative going forward. Thank you so much. I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Tendamweba. Candidate Pomarico, your second specific question is, how do you plan to ensure that the budget of USG is divided equitably? Your 2 minutes begin now.
So one, or I guess two aspects of the committee that of the allocations committee that I really like are our DEI and our bus representatives. I would like to encourage them to speak out if they think we're not being equitable with the budget. I do believe that as it stands, we are very equitable, but if they feel that there's a problem there, I want them to speak out. I would love to encourage them to speak out. And as for I want them to know that they are allowed to speak out against us if they don't think that we're being equitable about it. And I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Pomarico. Candidate Farahani, your second specific question is, how would you like to encourage student involvement and engagement as the Director of Programming? Your 2 minutes begin now.
For those of you who don't know, a majority of, if not all, the director positions have committees. It is highly encouraged that you apply to join our committees. Of course, we do have a limit on the amount of students that can be involved on those committees, but we still encourage you to apply and join. It's important that we have a diverse range of people helping choose these events. There's a huge different demographic of students on this campus, and we want to make sure that everyone's tastes are being met. Not only that, but I also mentioned before how we have an amazing polling system already set up. And as I mentioned, I would love to expand on that. Not just in the Student Center, like I mentioned before, if there are other places on campus, because I feel like the Student Center is a perfect hub for students, but that doesn't mean all students come to the Student Center. They might just go to the building where their classes are held. So if there was a way to do it from there as well, that would be amazing. But just having different polling stations set up would be a great addition and very insightful for myself. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Farahani. Moving to Director of Student Involvement, Candidate Johnson, your second question is, how do you plan to work with other student leaders or student advancement offices, both in and out of undergraduate student government? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. As I shared earlier, a saying that I go by, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And to go a step further, it's also what you know about them. So making sure that I educate myself that we're not just students. Faculty is not just faculty, but we are people outside of these positions. We have different interests, and as we said, DEI being attacked, I want to make sure that we're utilizing this as a strength. Someone might be good in a position where I struggle, and bringing awareness to that will allow us to foster that I can't even say it today, oh my goodness. You guys know what I mean, thank you. And making sure that we enhance student engagement in that way, so making sure to find out outside of these positions and outside of our academics, what do you like to do? Who are you as a person will allow us to really enhance and bring in more involvement overall. I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Johnson, and thank you, candidates, for answering our questions tonight. We will now go into closing statements, starting with Candidate Tendam-Webwa. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Since these are my final 2 minutes, I'd like to thank the Election Commission for creating this debate as a platform for us to talk about things that are close to us. I'd like to thank everyone who has been able to attend. I personally appreciate you for taking time out of your day. I'd like to thank the people that helped set up. You're very dear to me and very dear to us. I'd also like to appreciate the people that I've been able to debate with. They're amazing, and it's so good to have open forum and speech. In the last minute that I have, I'd like to say that I just want the Kent community to know that I stand for them, and that I am running for this position as a way to voice your concerns and voice every single member of the Kent community. Regardless of status, regardless of who you are part of this community, and I value you. So with that being said, I would just like to emulate something that we Flashers say to each other. Flashers, we take care of Flashers. So just have that at the back of your mind as you go to vote, that Derek is a Flash willing to take care of Flashers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Candidate Tendam-Webwa. Candidate Palmarico, your 2 minutes for a closing statement begin now.
All right. Thank you to everyone who came out. Thank you to my roommate specifically for coming. I really appreciate her being here. I just want to say that I really do believe that all of my experiences that I've had in the past will help me to be the best director of finance and administration that I can be. Even in with the faculty that works with this department, I have a strong connection with them already, and I really would like to continue to foster that connection with them. And so just thank you to everyone who's here, and I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Palmarico. Candidate Farahani, your 2 minutes for a closing statement begin now.
No matter negative nor positive, feedback is something that each director of programming receives. I want to remind you that we are here to listen to you. Our office is right across the hall, and you are always welcome to come in and talk to us. We want to provide you with the best experience we can. So please, come in during our office hours and speak to us. That is why we're there. I want to ensure you that I will provide you with the best events I can provide. No matter concert, comedian, speaker, no matter who you want, I want to provide Kent State with wonderful nights filled with wonderful memories that they'll be talking about with their friends even after they graduate, when they decide to send their kids here. It's really important to know that we are here for you. These are your events, not just USG's. We are here for you. We are here to support you. We are all ears, no matter who you are. Please come and talk to us. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Farahani. Candidate Johnson, your 2 minutes for a closing statement begin now.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you to the students for coming out tonight. I know, again, that there's always a lot of different events going on at the same time, so I do appreciate your time. Thank you to the commission for allowing us to have this director forum, and thank you to those of service for us for making sure that we sound good. I will leave you with this. I'm eager, I'm enthusiastic, and I'm willing. I do believe that student involvement is a big part of your college experience. And when I think about what led to me wanting this role, it goes back to transfer student orientation, where they have all the organizations here at the Student Center. And I was just a shy, feeble student walking around with my mom. And the bag that I even carry with me now is the USG bag that I got on that table. So if I can be the example for students to step outside of your comfort zone, do things that you might not have done in the past, and find out, educate yourself, ask questions, be a pioneer, then I'm just grateful for the opportunity to do so. So keep that in mind when we go to vote on Tuesday, and Tuesday is my birthday. Thank you. And I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Johnson, and thank you, Director candidates. This concludes the Director open forum portion of tonight's events. We will now take a 10-minute recess while we set up for our next debate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then as soon as I came in, I was like, this is a task you guys can pick from.
And we said, of course. Yeah, I didn't know I could help.
I know.
Come on now.
I was like, when I stopped in session, Joe and Steve both talking about tasks and videos for one of the thing, and they were like, give tasks to your committee members. They're like,
best believe my committee members will be getting tasks.
oh, and Corey is running for the appointed position of director of DEI. Which I told Corey, I was like, don't go for it.
Yeah, shout out to the DEI bus reps.
And now she's involved in KS United, so.
Yeah, she is.
Because Zach is heading in, and she's already helping now.
Yeah, I saw her name on the thing.
You can learn all these names. I know, you don't know any of these people.
Zach is
Yeah, my VP is not.
So what's happening?
That's just big skip. Who's the president? I don't know where he went. What's he look like? He's wearing like a navy jacket. I don't know where he went.
So it's just you're not even gonna get a chance to see it. Yeah, no, I know. No, that's completely right.
Yeah, I saw the way on business. I didn't even know.
He said it. I was gonna say he just
You have your car?
Hello, everybody, and we are back. Moving forward with tonight's events. It is loud. Oh, well, I'm not going to get everybody's. Moving forward with tonight's events, we will now be moving into the presidential debate at 7:15. Due to personal reasons, one of our candidates is not present right now, and we will be changing the events order of the evening. Thank you to everyone who is watching and everyone present for being understanding. We are people and students first. With that being said, could I please have presidential candidates come to the front stage? We will now be moving forward with the presidential debate. Could I please have presidential candidates to the front stage? Due to the events of tonight, one of our vice presidential candidates is not present. We are students and people first. Thank you for everyone for being understanding who is watching from home at the live stream and present tonight. Good evening, presidential candidates. Moving into tonight's debate, this is now different from the forum setup. During a debate, there will be an option for rebuttal process. How the rebuttal process will work is the candidate who starts with the question will be offered the option to open for rebuttal. If you would not like to open for rebuttal, just deny the request to open for rebuttal. We will then move forward to the next question with no rebuttal. Does that make sense? May I have a verbal yes?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Starting with tonight's questions, you will each be afforded 2 minutes to answer said questions. We will start with general questions and then move into specific questions based off of the descriptions of your positions. Trying to make sure I'm covering everything. Okay. Getting into opening statements, candidate Kendrick, we will begin with you. Oh, I forgot to introduce y'all. Give me a second. Introducing our candidates tonight, we have candidate Ivory Kendrick and candidate Devin Webster. Both are running for the position of student body president on Kent State's campus. Moving into introductory statements, candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Ivory Kendrick. I am from Ravenna, Ohio. I'm a public health major with a minor in political science. This is going to be my 3rd year as a junior going into my senior year, so I'm excited for that. I've been on campus and done a lot of leadership. I'm also a McNair student, and I'm usually busy, but never too busy for students. And I yield my time.
Thank you, candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, my name is Devin Webster. I am a freshman. I belong to the Architecture College. This is my first year. I am from the great state of Pennsylvania, Latrobe. I'm running for your guys' student body president, so I can't wait for this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Webster. Moving into our general questions for the night, we will begin with candidate Kendrick. Candidate Kendrick, the question is, what previous experience do you have that you feel best prepares you for this role? Your 2 minutes begin now.
First of all, I'd like to start off with I've done many roles on campus. To help me with this role in particular, I was a USG senator for the College of Public Health, where I did a lot of different initiatives and even help combat Senate Bill 1 and introduce the initiative to get Narcan on campus. On top of that, I've also done a lot of different leadership through the Student Success Programs Office, where I did Flashes 101, PSM stuff. I was a peer success coach. I also did orientation. I was also a peer success academy trainer. So I kind of did it all. The only thing I haven't done really is RA or KT. All these experiences have really taught me one thing, is that students are different everywhere and they should be treated so, and that we should try to support them as much as we can. Some people don't know this about me, but my concentration is actually in health administrative services. So I do have a kind of a background in administrative work. I've also worked in a couple of places where I had to do administrative work. So President kind of appealed to me because I want to make sure that General Assembly can do what they can.
Thank you, candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Okay. Thank you so much. Of course, my experiences are many, but I'll make it short and sweet for a little bit. My experiences go from sports and academics back to my home state in PA through international talks with people from Europe and Australia, and a lot of stuff back to academics and sports. With sports, I was a coach, a referee, and a player for almost 16 years. I've coached many different players who had all different experiences and different perspectives on how they were able to conduct different information, and through refereeing, trying to orchestrate and organize certain events and lead them to good endings without any complications or more. With each one, it shows and brings a lot of leadership and love, concentration when it comes to that. The biggest things is that I don't like to show my experience. I don't really like to tell my experience. My experience, I apply and I get results. And with all my stuff with academics, through being a senator with our speech and debate team, helping others orchestrate and organize certain debates with other different schools and help our school out with administrations and more. So I'm here to run because I believe that my experiences are a lot, and I feel like we can make a lot of change here at Kent State. I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, would you like to open rebuttal?
Yes.
Your 2 minutes for rebuttal begin now.
I just simply had like a few questions, if that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to know if you have any like specific Kent State experience. I know you don't like to talk your experience, so I won't let you. I won't let you talk about that like too crazy. I just wanted to know if you had any like Kent State specific experience with like our students and our like faculty and staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I've done a good bit of work with the students of Kent State, back to my architecture building, with being associated with AIS, which is a student-run organization. We are currently, haven't been there in a little bit with being busy with architecture, but I was very involvement during last semester, and we're currently on doing a care facility over near Kent. But I worked with many other different groups on many different things for them as organizations, as student organizations, and I do have a lot of personal involvement with different type of groups around campus also, especially with some ties with the business building.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. We will now close rebuttal. Moving on to our second question, we will now open with Candidate Webster. The question is, within the highlighted expectations of your role, how do you plan on prioritizing administrative communication? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Okay, thank you. If I quickly get to my notes, they're all everywhere today. For Kent State Administration, correct? Thank you. To prioritize that, it does evolve with a lot of work, and my main priority is to work with each individual that's part of USG, is working with every single director and every senator, part of all of our colleges. By working together, we can create a huge impact on student life and student involvement with our organizations and more. It will come times where it will be stressful for anybody in those positions, especially for president and vice president and vice versa, for anyone. The biggest thing is that we will all have to balance our life accordingly to get what we all really need for the Kent State students and administration. With us, we also will work very closely with the current administration of Kent by being very transparent with the right communications, and then work off from that to our senators and directors and help them have the right communications, and then that to the students of Kent State. I yield all my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
Could you please repeat the question real quick?
Pause timer. The question is, within the highlighted expectation of your role, how do you plan on prioritizing administration as administrative communication?
Well, first off, I know like our administration, like they're one of the best like people I've ever seen. Like Dr. Pringo, she's super awesome. So I think as being the president, I think we need to start connecting our directors with these administrative like people, especially with initiatives and different things like that. The senators too, especially with like connecting with their deans and just making it more fluent for the General Assembly to run. I think at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, what's best for the students. And I think in their busy schedule, if I was to act as that catalyst just to get this like directors and senators to meet with these people and eventually like help them out, I think we could get a lot done on this campus, and I really think it would help improve our campus for the better.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, would you like to open rebuttal?
Yeah, if I can.
Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. When it comes back to with transparency and also communication, we need to vastly improve it a lot, and we need to also very much work more with administration. For my communication with many people all around campus, we believe that there needs to be a little more involvement through the eyes of us, that we want to see a little bit more. And with you being a senator for your college and so forth, how can you like promise a little bit more of the transparency? Because people have been here for almost multiple years and they haven't heard like a lot of the communication, the transparency, especially with administration. So how can we see a little bit more through your eyes as you're running as president?
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
I definitely agree. I think administration, like the transparency, we definitely need it. I think it's really just having those conversations, and I'm not scared to have those conversations with admin and tell them, hey, like we have these students who are coming to me in my office hours and they're wondering about T28, and they're wondering about their degrees getting shut down and their buildings getting closed and their faculty members losing a job and like having to go somewhere else, like especially with their research. So I'm definitely okay with having conversations with the betterment of the student in mind, and having that release to the public of the students, whether it be through USG or whether it be through the provost or Todd Dyken. Because at the end of the day, I think all we want is a little bit of transparency. I think we just need to address how important it is, and USG should not be the main point of contact. I think it should be sent out to every student, just like Todd sends his like little weekly emails sometimes, you know? So I think moving forward, I want to act as that catalyst to tell, you know, Todd Dyken, tell Dr. Pringle, tell the provost, hey, you need to send out this email to these students. They're worried and they're very scared for what their major is going to end up being.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick, and we will now close out rebuttal. Moving to question 3, we will start with Candidate Kendrick. The question is, where do you see Kent State within the next 5 years, and how do you see the undergraduate student government's role changing and evolving with it? Your 2 minutes begin now.
I definitely think that there's no secret that with the political climate in the country right now, it's scary, especially with some majors in education, especially with the Department of Education maybe getting dismantled. It's scary, and I know for one, under my like administration within USG, I would love for USG to take a stand. That means passing resolutions to condemn bills. That means going against what maybe the government says, but we want to voice for the students, because at the end of the day, we're voicing for the students. We're not voicing for admin. We're not voicing for anyone else. We're voicing for the students. And I think if we empower the General Assembly to do that and to go to those protests and to be at those places and just be there for the students and let them know we're on your side, I think we can make this community a lot stronger. And in addition to that, USG can be seen as more of just like an empowerment group instead of just representatives or student council.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. 5 years is a long time. We all know that. Sometimes we don't know what's happening in next week, month, 6 months to a year, 5 years. To have the possibility of to think where we'll be or where we'll see Kent State in 5 years is somewhat, from what I've talked to people about and what they say, some speculation. The biggest thing that we can do is what we can do now to change and to make the needs and the wants for the students of Kent State appear and to also happen accordingly on USG's platform, on their general assemblies, and then to the administration. The biggest things that we need to improve on a vast variety of many different things. If we want to have a clear vision for 5 years, we need to start doing things now and things months ago. Because from what I've heard and what I've seen, we always keep saying we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We should have done things months ago. We should have done things a long time ago with administration and with other members of USG to get things done so we can have a clear view for 5 years. Under my administration, the 5 years is going to look very clean. It's going to look very involved with the student organizations, with student involvement. And we're going to bring the community closer than what it has been for months. And we're going to make it stronger, and we're going to make it better for the next multiple years. And if we're going to do that for multiple years, we should be looking more than 5 years and more, because we're more of a family here at Kent State than just a, quote, community. We're all a big family. And under my administration, we're going to make it more of a family, more involved, and more eye-opening than just seeing eye to eye a little bit or not eye to eye. So I yield the rest of my time. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, would you like to open rebuttal?
Yes.
Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
So Candidate Webster, in your statement, you said that you wanted to be more involved and more involvement. I just wanted to ask one question. What does involvement look like to you?
Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. With involvement, it starts with every single organization, student organization, because there's been organizations around campus that are not being seen, who has communicated with high levels of different government in Kent State, and they're not seeing it. And if we want to be more involved and we want to be more interactive, we start with USG and getting our members and senators and directors and helping and encouraging them with resources more to go out to create this involvement, to get them to involve with these groups. So then these groups can then work off the information that we can help them with, things that we can communicate with, resources. So then we can rechange that system that is currently right now into better involvement in the next multiple months, 1 month, 5 years or more. It involves with all of us, and it starts now. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. We will now close rebuttal. We will move on to question 4. This is our last general question before we get into specifics of the position. This question we will start with Candidate Webster. The question is, how do you plan to connect with the directors and senators of the USG General Assembly in your term over the next year? Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Okay. Thank you very much. That is very important that we need to have a large amount of communication with each and every single person that's involved with our student government. And when it comes to the General Assembly, we have to be very involved. We have to involve with many different aspects around how we all just work together and so forth. To create this culture and everything else, we need to create a helping variety, helping diversity, and more with each other, to be more open-minded and to communicate with each other and help each other when it comes to the General Assembly. That once we can help each other and we can move forward from that, and we can just help each other when one person is down or when person doesn't feel like they're a part, or even if it's not part of USG, if it's outside of the General Assembly. How can we communicate and work together to help each other be the better person at the end of the day, so then they could get their job responsibilities, understand them, and to work correctly off of that, that we can help each other no matter what, that our doors are always open to one another, that we may have heated arguments, we may not understand each other or have eye to eye, but doesn't mean that we cannot communicate still and try to improve on multiple things. So the overall is that we will do what we can under my administration to better this, not only for USG, but also for the people who want to see what's happening in USG and to our General Assembly. So I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
First off, I'd like to say everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and I think the first step to that is looking at our directors and our senators' strengths and weaknesses and helping out where we can. I know me and my vice president, we will be willing to do that, especially with our office hours being like, or we're gonna be in the office a lot. But I think that's the first step, and then after that, I believe that we need to empower our directors and our senators, because at first, USG is scary. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There's a lot of bylaws. There's a lot of rules. I think we need to empower them and realize that, like, hey, people might not be used to this. And I think once we get everyone on the same board, then we can move on to really getting to the nitty-gritty of things. I think we need to start connecting directors and senators more often. I feel like they go on their own, and then what an event that they're like, oh, this could have been such a good event, but then it fell through because of a last-minute thing. I think if we're connecting directors and senators more, especially on like common initiatives, I think we can go a lot farther and get these events done, and not only done, but also getting the community engaged in it. In addition to that, I would also like to increase the resources that we give to senators and directors, especially considering how many students that they serve, not only within their college, but on this campus. So if a senator, especially within their college, knows about certain like emergency funds, like they should have that first knowledge for students to help them out. Same thing with directors. If directors know about like a fund, or let's say the emergency LGBTQ plus fund, they should be able to help out that out. And I think that we can get there. We just need time, and we just need effort, especially when starting the year off strong,
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, would you like to open rebuttal?
Yes, please.
Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. I just have based on what you said, just a few questions. You were talking about resources, and you hinted a few of them. I think there could be a lot more. What other resources can you think that can be more helpful to directors and senators, since you've been a senator for a year? And if we need better resources and improvement of these resources, what type of resources can you issue and create to help these people? I yield my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
So we have a lot of resources here at Kent. We have so many of them, it's not even funny. We have CARES, we have DeWeese, we have TRIO, we have Upward Bound, we have the student success programs, we have Purple Umbrella, which helps with foster children and like people who were in foster care. We have the food pantry, we have Flashes Fighting Hunger. Like all these are resources that we should talk about and have within our kind of back of the mind, like index, like, hey, like if you need help, this is the person you can reach out. We have academic advising, student ombuds, we have student legal services. These are just to name a few, but there's so many more. But I only got 2 minutes. I'm not gonna take up the rest of your night.
That's okay.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. We will now close rebuttal and close out the general questions of the evening. We will now be moving on to the specific questions as you were provided 48 hours prior. Opening our specific question portion, we will be beginning with Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Kendrick, the question is, what is your policy on communication, and how do you intend to make information easily accessible to the students of Kent State? Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. I think to start off, I think that USG needs to be more mainstream, just so we can have more of that transparency. A good idea that I had was even having like a tab on Flashline, just to see what USG is up to. In addition to that, I think that we need to be as transparent as possible. And I know that administration, there's going to be some meetings that I'm going to be told I cannot talk about. But respectfully, the students have a right to know. And if I'm being told, hey, you can't, just put it on the low. No, because no matter what, even if I don't win, students come first, and I will always stand by that. So with that being said, I believe that we should take that knowledge, take the knowledge that we're getting from admin, whether it be a press release through USG's like Instagram or an email, or whether it be just a social media post. We should let the students know, and we should share that as much as we can to our community partners and our other organizations.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. The biggest thing is, like, communication is the most important part of any workplace or any friend group or any organizations in general. To be able to talk to one another, to get things done, to make it accordingly, to have the understanding with one another and that we can be open with one another is very important. With Kent State, transparency has been a big talk for multiple years. It involves with our state government, our local governments, city governments, and also our federal governments, where transparency for almost 20 years could be vastly improved. And for my time here at Kent State, there's been some transparency, but we need to be more open to transparency. So we need to have more of a clear, more consistent, and more convenient communication and transparency. One of the biggest ones is probably opening a weekly digital newsletter to all students where people are able to go and see them. I subscribe to a bunch of them all around US, hearing things in California, Florida, Michigan, just a whole bunch of things to hear the small individual things happening. So we can just send out an email probably once a week, or however often we are going to be involved with one another in general assemblies and communication. How can we be so more open to everybody? And I think these newsletters could be a very huge impact. So they can just open their email, their Outlook, see it, read it, and if they have questions, they have a way to go to their directors and senators and communicate and open their First Amendment right to figure out what's all happening. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, would you like to open rebuttal?
Yeah.
Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
So you mentioned the newsletters and like trying to make sure that people are up to date. Besides the newsletters and like, you know, anything like that, like what other kind of initiatives or things that you have in mind for like trying to keep transparency open?
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Okay, thank you. I think it goes back to the directors and also the senator debates also. They have also said some phenomenal ideas where we can be just a lot more open and that we can just provide so much more transparency and communications with everybody. That if we can be more transparent on our social media platforms, or how do we talk to administrations to get things dished out, or how do we contact our deans and more, so then they're able to connect to many people. Like my dean of the architecture building, he's very open to us. He tells us things that are currently happening, part of our current part of our building, what's happening forward down the lines, all bunch of things are happening with our building. He demonstrates communication and transparency by a lot, and I respect the guy. He gave me a letter of recommendation for the United States military. The guy is phenomenal, but he shows the demonstration and communications with everybody in that building, between Outlook, emails, social media, and working with student organizations and involvements to help one another. So if he can do that, I think we could do it a lot more on this campus. And if we could work with him, it's going to show a lot, because he gets a lot of things done. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster, and thank you, candidates. We will now close rebuttal and close out the 5th question. Moving into our 6th question, we will begin with Candidate Webster. Considering the time required to dedicate to the presidential position, how do you plan to balance your life as a student body president and a full-time student? Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. Throughout my time when I was younger and going through high school, I've been involved with many different organizations, and a lot of my time was also being used a lot. But the biggest thing is I always had time to put out for myself and for others especially. It's all about me or myself, myself or I. It's about each and every other person that you are in contact with and that you talk around. That if they're doing well, then you're having the right communications with them. That we can be open to how to prioritize self-care and also wellness with ourselves and others. And I've done that for a long time. And with going into this race and understanding the rules and responsibilities and then the amount of time that can be, I've seen and heard stories about previous people in many different parts around this country. And they need a lot of self-prioritizing and also self-awareness. And between me understanding that and just feels like it's just another thing piled on, but more of an important key role and involvement with all students of Kent State, I believe I can get it done. Because if I have other people around me who are doing the exact same, and we're helping one another, and we're open and everything to what's happening in our lives, we can help each other. And that involves with all senators and directors. If we're open with one another and we can help each other, it helps us with workload and everything that's currently happening. Because nobody falls off their ship or is the last captain standing. You're going to get off that boat, and we're all going to have a good time. So I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yes, I can. Considering the time required to dedicate to the presidential position, how do you plan to balance your life as a student body president and a full-time student? Your 2 minutes begin now.
So, I like this question because, like, I feel like people, if you know me, some people are like, how are you even a student? So with that being said, after taking PSA, Peer Success Academy, they taught you how to, divvy up your time and make sure you have good time management. And I've used that so much since. So with that being said, of all the different leadership roles and everything I've had, up to this point, I probably had 16 to 18 credit hours, and I've been doing all these leadership positions, Peer Success Academy, Peer Success Mentor, Peer Success Coach. So next semester, I will only have like about 14. So best believe with that like decrease in credit hours, and in addition to that, I'll have a lot more online classes. I will have a lot of time to like be in the office, a lot of time to connect with students, a lot of time to just do what I can for the students, especially on a student's first basis. And in addition to that, with my time management skills, I feel like I can get a lot done within the General Assembly and support a lot more senators and directors in and out of the office. And in addition to that, also help out community members, organizations, and all around just be, a person of campus, person of the people, and just try to help out,
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, would you like to open rebuttal?
Yes, please.
Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. Just have two questions based on what you were saying. You were saying that people don't know you and so forth, and I think it involves with a large majority of people around Kent State. We don't know each other. When I talk around and we ask who are these people or something, and I talk to people, I'm running for USG. They ask me, do you know anybody part of USG before I even ran? I said no. I asked them, do you know? No. So is the question that evolves around is how do you know who's helping us, who is helping us as students, if we don't know who you are and what have you done, because there's no communication or transparency from what we're hearing. There is a lot when we actually look into it, but we believe there could be a lot. So how can you get the people to know you a lot more than currently now?
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
I appreciate the question. For one, I like to say it's a big campus. I like to think I know a decent chunk of people on campus. However, I would like to recognize that there are people who just come to this campus just to study and go home. There are people who have children at home. There are people who have 2 jobs. There are so many different people and type of students on this campus that aren't just here just to be involved. Like my friend Joe right now, he comes to class and he goes home. And we have to respect that. Some people, they want to know what USG is. They want to get involved. They want to know how to do that. And for them, I'm there. I'm seeking them out. And if they hear about our meetings and they want to come, I'm all for it. However, I think we need to recognize that there are some people who literally just want to get their education, and that's it. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Moving on to question 7. Yes. Okay, there we go. Where's the top? Moving on to question 7, we will be starting with Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Kendrick, the question is, how do you intend to work with administration to ensure you are doing right by the students of Kent State University? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. I think first things first, I think we need to discuss with the higher administration on, making sure they're not overlooking students. I think first we need to listen to the students, and then we need to make sure that administration isn't overlooking them and just being like, oh, they're just upset. I think we need to explain to them how this affects students. I think once we can do that, we can have kind of this, third-party chain where it's students are talking, speaking, and trying to address to administration, these are our issues, these are our problems. And I think as being the president, I can be that link to finish the chain, to help administrations to understand these are why these problems are an issue. And if we don't fix them, not only are you going to lose students, you're going to lose the trust that the students put into this administration and Kent State. And at the end of the day, if the trustees are going to come knocking, you got to explain that. So I think as long as we come to a common knowledge and a common consensus, I think I can be that person to do that. And I believe that I'm well equipped, especially within the community and administration, to make that prevalent.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. The biggest thing that everyone wants is that we are involved and that we have the direct communication with the administration. The administration are in control over everything that we do on campus. The things that you see around, the jobs that are open for people to go and make money so that they can help their college tuition and help their family out so they don't get in debt. They do a lot of different involvement, and they do a whole bunch of things. For us, we need to have more regular meetings with administration. Under my administration and under my year of term, we're going to have a lot more meetings with administration. We're going to continue with the large amount of transparency that we will bring, and that no matter what would happen, we're going to get some meeting. We're going to get the senators and directors have open line communication with any administrator or any type of director there are on Kent State, that they can go straight away. So then they can communicate, talk, and then come back to us. So then we're able to reflect on what we heard and then rechange what we're going, what we are prioritizing, and the current direction we are going as USG. If we're able to do that, then we can have better transparency and the increase of transparency with their administration, because they're like our government. If we don't say anything, we don't do anything, we stay back and we don't talk to students, they're going to hear about one way or another. And I feel like it's somewhat a little happening. So if under my administration, we will get a lot more meetings. We're going to be as equal as possible as they are towards us. We can pressure their jobs, we can pressure what they're currently doing, so then we can get what we need and what the students needs, because students have needs and wants, and we got to meet them as we are representing them on an everyday basis that we need to improve on, especially with the transparency. So I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, would you like to open rebuttal?
Yes.
Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
So for the pressuring of the administration, especially with the jobs and stuff like that, I think it's a good strategy. However, what do you say to students who they need a job just to pay their rent, like with the stressing of these jobs and stuff like that? And like, I'm assuming that you mean like saying they're gonna hold payments and be like, I'm not going into work and stuff like that. But like, what do you say to administration when they end up firing like a student that, like, let's say they need that job just to pay rent?
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. I'm not sure where I'm talking about withdrawing money or something. I'm not sure where you're trying to get at and talking about that. Like, we can't really do anything about money-wise. When I was talking about jobs and everything, students have the option to get jobs around campus, either part of our peer success programs that they're doing well in these fields that they're currently going for, like if they have a math that they're taking or a science credit or something, and they're doing well, they have the option to go tutor to make that money. So then they can get their tuition to be lowered, aka being paid for, because they can have loans and bank loans and everything else. But if we have more jobs around campus, it helps. And there are jobs. We need to be more transparent with more of this communication that there are multiple jobs. And we see people having these jobs around. And the current administration is doing what they're doing right now to get them the jobs. So I'm not sure where you're trying to come at towards me, saying about lowering this and doing this, blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's just making sure that they have a way to get a job if they want to, so then they can make money for themselves, so they can better their life on Kent if they want to. It's nothing like this or that. It's just plain and simple. If you want to get a job, you can get one. We can help the administration to get the right jobs, the right resources. They can go and get that job if they want. So then they can help themselves, and so then they can help their families out so they're not $30,000 in debt or more. Because we're seeing the banks inflation some more happening around the United States. and we just got to better ourselves when it comes to these banks and loans when they increase or not, because it happens a lot. So if we have these jobs, which there is a good bit, that helps with everybody. So I use the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. We will close out rebuttal in the 7th question, and we will move on to our final question of the evening before closing statements. This question will begin with Candidate Webster. Candidate Webster, how will you work with your vice president to create a culture of care, understanding, and respect outside of the undergraduate student government's General Assembly? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. Care and having understanding and respect with everybody is a huge and key thing with the administration and a lot of our student government involvement around. We got to make sure that everyone is, having that respect around, that we're having the understanding of one another, that we are encouraging and helping each other with care and the different resources that we have provided. The biggest thing is that we can look at the type of workshops that we can do with one another to help boost our help and care for one another, doing different team building exercises and retreats to better one of us, so then we can go into it as more of a, not just as a community, but more as a family and everything. So under my administration, we're going to more work as a family than a community or more. Even if we have disagreements or misunderstandings or something, we're going to get that realigned, and we're going to try to get to see eye to eye. That with these type of things, we can help one another. And with me and my vice president and the different connections that we have and the ability to understand, because everyone has gone through something. So if they can help understand another person or help with their care, or even with a little more respect, we can do that. Because respect is a huge point. Even if somebody doesn't feel like they have respect, there's probably respect. We just have to open that so then we can really see it. So then they can understand and that they're feeling they're being cared for one another around. Because we have very important jobs and they're very key and more. So we're going to work a lot more as a family and also with these team building exercises to help one another out. So I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
First off, I'd like to say I apologize if my question upset you. The last statement, I was just misunderstanding the pressuring work spaces and stuff like that.
That's all good.
But yeah, so with me and Ryan, we both have strengths and weaknesses, but I think we complement each other well in that aspect. I think we both understand that students are students, but they're also people first. I think life happens, and we both understand that. I think that we're so understanding, and I think that we can help as best as we can. However, with that being said, we're also people who understand the importance of boundaries and how they can be broken and how we should implement them, especially with a new General Assembly. So I think with us working together, I think not only can we cultivate a good sense of belonging in our General Assembly, but we can also help out students if they're having personal troubles. And even if it's something as simple as two senators are arguing, or let's say they can't get into a meeting on time, I think we're both so understandable, and we understand how things happen in life, that we can just become one of those figures that's hey, if you need anything, come to us. And if we don't know, we'll find the answer for you and make sure it happens.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, would you like to open for rebuttal?
Yes.
Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. Ivory, the biggest thing I see and I hear is, well, from all you said, I respect that for what you do and what you can do. And that evolves around with everything from what we are currently doing. We're right now debating each other. We're giving each other the understanding and respect that we can. And this evolves and shows what we can do with Kent State a lot. And I can see that from you and all that too. So I respect you off of that and for what you were saying right now. That we can have something, if something happened in our lives, if we're unable to control it, or if we're unable to get the right help, that we can help one another. Even if we don't know, we can go get that. And then holding it in, or if there's a conflict, we don't talk behind people's backs or anything else, that we're able to go forward. So I respect you for that. And I end the rest of my time.
Thank you, Candidate Webster. Candidate Kendrick, your 2 minutes begin now.
For closing statement, I just want to clarify.
We are still in rebuttal.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry, I was really confused there. Sorry, I was just so used to the question. Sorry. I do appreciate it. I thank you for those comments. I think at the end of the day, we're both just looking to help out the students, so I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick, and thank you, candidates. That closes our question portion of the debate tonight. We will now move into closing statements. Candidate Kendrick, you will start with closing statements. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I just want to start off by saying, honestly, what you see is what you get. I'm a pretty honest and transparent person, and Ryan's kind of the exact same. If you want to be honest, we're a little goofy and we're a little quirky, but at the end of the day, we want what's best for the students. And despite what this election holds, despite whatever happens, even if me and Ryan don't win this election and we can't be the face of USG and the students, best believe we're still going to be involved. We're still going to help out the students. We're still going to make sure we can do anything we can to make sure people can graduate and overall have a good time at Kent State. Because at the end of the day, these are the years that you're going to be talking about with your kids and your family, and I think it's just so important. So when you go to vote, just remember, no matter what happens, we're still on your side, and we're going to help you through thick and thin.
Thank you, Candidate Kendrick. Candidate Webster, your 2 minutes for closing statement begins now.
Thank you. The biggest thing that when I look around and I talk to one people is that we have a community. We have a phenomenal community. That we may have disagreements, that we may not like one another, and we might always see eye to eye when it comes to that. Sometimes we just have to get it over and just look forward. And as Kent State, we have this beautiful community. It can look a little broken there and there, but we're still this whole piece. It's like glass. Glass may be shattered, but if it's still standing, it can be repaired, it can be fixed. So what we're going to do is that we're going to do a lot to better the community with one another, and that when it comes to voting, and you guys go to the voting polls when it comes to the 25th and the 26th of next week. If you guys do it in person or online, there's resources. There will be ways to go at this, and that as a community, to vote helps pair this little shattered glass, if there is, around campus. That no matter who we are Kent State Golden Flashes, and we need to help one another than just throw each other around or dislike certain groups because what they say or believe in. We all need to show the respect, and we got to better our community for now and for the future. And I believe under my administration, for what we can do, we can help all. And even if me and my vice president, Caleb, don't win, it's not like we're going to go back into this student cloud or something. We're going to continue talking with everybody, creating better communities around, even if it's the most smallest ones, and also help better student organizations that we can be involved with. So go out and vote for next week. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, candidates. That concludes our presidential debate for the evening. We will take a 10-minute recess. he has been corresponding with Zach. He is on campus. Adding his team, kind of becoming involved. There's the vice president of debate, there will be an opportunity to tomorrow to see if they can interview Ryan and Philip together, so we both still have opportunity to come speak. Just because, like I said, they're coming out on the clock. But all in all, I also do have an announcement for any candidate who is present at the end of the night, but it'll be real quick. So if you are sticking around, appreciate it. All right, everybody. We are going to go forward with closing out our evening. Unfortunately, our vice presidential debate is unable to happen tonight. With that being said, thank you for all who showed up tonight. Thank you for all who watched via the live stream. I want to take a moment to talk about our, my goodness, I should face the camera, shouldn't I? I want to take a moment to talk about our election day procedure. Please note that you can vote online starting on March 25th at 8 a.m. Through Flashline. There will also be opportunities to go to physical locations